All right, welcome back. And now we need to add names to the list. And I'm going to expose this function because we are calling it from within the app. So we need to expose it. All right, so what do we need to do right here? We need to catch the name that we are using with input and calling the data input name. So, okay, I'm going to go const and say user and then name. And this one is going to be equal to data and then input name. So then I'm going to go right here and I'm going to be going to data. I'm going to go to names and I'm going to do dot and I'm going to do push because I need to push this whatever name that the user is trying to input to the array of names. So then later we can display it right here at the bottom. So I'm going to say push and I'm going to push that username. Now, after we enter that name, we need to clear right here whatever the user added. So I'm going to go here and say data dot and I'm going to go that input name. I'm going to say that this is back to nothing. And we can see the names if we want. Maybe we can do a console.log and we can just check what names we have inside that array. Let's see if this works. I'm going to bring the console up so we can see, the console logs. I'm going to reload the application and I want to add some names. I'm going to do Steve. I'm going to add it. The name goes away and we have, the first position. Then I'm going to do Mills, whatever. I don't even know if that's name. Steve and then Mills. And actually Steve Mills is somebody. And Mike. And I'm going to do add. And, we have the array of names. So that's cool. So now what we need to do, we need to do some validation right here. But first, I want to go back to the indexed HTML and I want to show the list of names. So I will go right here and just show it. I'm going to say div, open it, close. And this one is going to be a class of list and then underscore of underscore names. What do we need to do? Well, we need to loop. I'm going to create a div and just break it in multiple lines. We need to do v and then we need to do for and equals to and then open and close. Now we need to go to the name. We need to go to the index, right? Oh, index right here and then in. And from where can we find this information? Well, it's going to be inside names, inside data, and then names. Since we are exporting data, we can access this. So data and then dot and then names, just like that. Now we need a key. I'm going to do a key. And for now, I'm going to be using the name as a key because in a minute, we're going to be adding some validations and you will not be able to have two names with the same, the same names, the same characters. So the key is going to be unique, at least on this application. So I'm going to do click and right here, we're going to do something. Well, you know what? I'm going to do it later. I'm going to add a class. And right now, what I want to do, I want to bring the animated and we are using this animate.css. Maybe let's see if I can find the location animate CSS. I guess it's this one. And this is it. So every time that we do something and we use this animate CSS, it's going to do some kind of animation. So how this works, this library, since everything is CSS, you just pass the classes right here as a class and it will do the animation for you. It's just a very cool library. I'm going to do animate underscore animated. That's how we start the animation. And then animate underscore, and we need to decide which animation we want to use. Is going to be fade and then in. And right here, since we are looping every time that we add something, I'm going to be adding and animating the name that comes in. And at this point, we can see if this works. We can check. I'm going to reload the application. I'm going to do Bill, whatever, doesn't matter, Bill. I'm going to do add, and we can see the name going in. Steve, add, and then Mike, and then add. Now, what I want to be able now is to remove names. If I click the pill, we need to remove it. And for this, of course, we need to create a function and maybe pass an on-click right here so we can remove it. But we need a function to remove everything. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to create a const. I'm going to call that function remove and the name. And this is the function that we are going to be calling to remove names from the array. And we need to pass the argument of which name we want to remove. So we can use the 0 and we can use the position, the 0, 1, 2, and so on and so on. So this function is going to receive the index of which name we need to remove from the array. And how this works is just, removing a position on the array. It's data. We're going to access the names. Then I'm going to do splice just like that. open and close, and we need to pass the index and how many elements we want to remove, which in this case is going to be 1. Now, since we're going to be calling this function from the outside, I need to expose it. Now, if I go here, I'm going to maybe go before the class, and we need to call this function. And we also need to pass the index so it can know which element we want to remove. So I'm going to do click equals 2, and I'm going to be using that function. And to avoid typos, I'm going to be copying the name of the function. Remove name, and remember this one needs the argument of index. So I guess that's fine. Let's see if this works. I'm going to add some names. I'm going to do Steve. I'm going to do Mike or whatever, Mike. And I'm going to be removing Mike, and Mike goes away. And if I add a new name, you can see that the list, it's good. We get Steve and just Mills. We don't have the Mike one. This works. So now what we need to do, and we're going to do it on the next one, I want to do some validation because at this point, I can't add 2 Mills. Or maybe if I submit something, it's going to be an empty name. So this is a no-go for us. So we need to go right here, and before we add names to the array, we need to run some validations. So let's go to the next one and do the validations.